Welcome back to another episode of Ask the Expert. I'm your host, John Visser, and today with me, I don't have just one, but two guests. And the first one that I'm going to introduce to you is a gentleman by the name of Adam W. Barney. Now, Adam is an energy coach, and for those of you who are thinking oil, don't. Adam, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Thank you, John. It's great to hear from you. It's a beautiful day here in Boston.
Wonderful. Tell us a little bit about what you do as an energy coach.
Sure. I know energy coach can probably seem a little bit funny. I'd love to say I like to use mystical stones and sorcery. Maybe I'll add that to my practice in the next 10 years. But it's about how I partner with emerging and executive leaders and keep them energized and accountable towards holistic transformational change that helps elevate them both in life and in business. I'm also the author of a book that's called Make Your Own Glass Half Full, The Empowered Path to Optimism and Autonomy. And those are the two tools that I bring to the forefront in driving that energy and that accountability with, again, those leaders that I love to partner with and motivate.
That's absolutely phenomenal. So let's move over to our second guest, Chris C.T. Falk from Alberta, Canada. Chris, welcome to the show. His company is called Squillo Solutions. It's so nice to have a fellow Canadian up here that can share in the misery of the Canadian winter. Chris, how are you doing?
Great, John. It's a pleasure to be here. I think the misery of the Canadian winter is a little bit misunderstood, especially for people that aren't quite familiar with how far north you are. Just a quick introduction. We'll get into some side chats later. I'm a company, Skrilla. We're actually a business management consulting firm, and we kind of specialize on the revenue generation side. So I do a lot of work from a day-to-day perspective, from strategic advisory, executive level coaching, team skill development, as well as process planning and implementation.
So, Chris, tell me, how did you get involved in this type of coaching?
Yeah, it's kind of, for most people, it happens naturally. So I've been in sales in some capacity since I was 16 years old, all the way from telemarketing, and worked my way into territory directorships and whatnot. As you kind of become a little bit more attuned to the markets and your name gets out there, a lot of people start seeking you out. So it really started as mostly an executive level coaching venture where I was helping executives organize their teams, and then it moved into complete sales training. And from there, kind of spun out the entire business to try to go a little bit deeper and help companies achieve their growth goals.
Adam, energy coaching, when I talked to you prior to starting the show, I could see that you bring a lot of energy to the table. What gave you the idea to package that in a service and provide that to other people?
Sure. So my background, John, comes from an over 20-year nonlinear corporate marketing career where I worked everywhere from venture capital-backed startups to enterprise-scale global companies that touch everyone on this planet like Microsoft. And through that corporate journey, I learned when I was leading teams and working with C-level executives, Fortune 50 clients, that I always brought the energy in terms of my leadership. One of the things I think that separates a lot of the leaders and managers that are in the world also is the fact that there's no formal leadership training that most of them get. So I love to take that perspective that I have from that experience, where I've always felt like with even junior employees early in that corporate career, I wanted to elevate them to succeed in their role, of course, but it was always about enabling them to get to the next level and then the level beyond that. So it's always been that forward, upward progress that's been my perspective on how I've managed teams. And just having conversations with hundreds of people around the world over the years, I've seen on the other end of the Zoom or a conversation, when I first have that interaction with someone, the energy level rises halfway or a third of the way through the conversation to keep them energized and keep them accountable. It's just something I've picked up on over the years. And I think it's a differentiator in the coaching space also, which is so important in a crowded market of a lot of people who call themselves growth coaches, career coaches, life coaches, whatever the case might be.
That is absolutely awesome. Chris, I'm going to circle back to you here quickly. Just one last question because we're almost out of time. Looking forward into 2025, what would you say is some of the biggest challenges you guys are going to face this year?
Yeah, I think right now we're looking at a lot of crowded markets, especially with social media and some of the changes that are happening, with TikTok bans and, one of the releases from Meta. I think that cutting through the noise from a marketing perspective is going to be a little bit more challenging, not just for us, but for the market as a whole.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. And thank you to the viewers out there for tuning in today. If you guys are interested in looking at more businesses like the ones from Adam and from Chris, please log into the Daily News Network. Until next time, thank you.
Cut.